The adventure continues this week on Ford Outfitters.
I'm very blessed for the client that's coming in. It's my first opportunity to guide with Blackfoot Outfitters, and we're doing a bow hunt for mule deer. And there's some great big mule deer here that have never ever been bow hunted. I don't know of anybody that has bow hunted on the reserve ever. Fred will be the first one.
There they are. Get down. They're right on the side hill right there.
It's gonna be a pretty tough bow hunt because I'm not seeing a lot of cover.
Fred Eichler has taken all 29 species recognized by Pope and Young with a recurve bow. Conway Bowman cracked the code for Mako sharks on the fly. The outdoors has led them to adventures around the world. Now, two of North America's most accomplished sportsmen and their Ford trucks are on a mission to learn the secrets and stories of America's best outfitters. This is The Outfitters, built by Ford F-Series.
Well, I just crossed the Canadian border and I'm in beautiful southwestern Alberta. And I'm really excited because I'm going to be hunting mule deer. Corey Jarvis of Three Rivers Adventures has a cooperative working relationship with the Piikani tribe, and the Piikani Nation is actually going to allow me to hunt on native land. I'm going to be hunting with Dickie of the Piikani Nation. Dickie is an outfitter and he's a guide, and I'm really excited to hang out with him. It's going to be a fun trip, and as always, it's going to be a learning experience.
The Piikani Nation Reserve is located 135 miles south of Calgary on the eastern edge of the Canadian Rockies. Pincher Creek, Alberta is a farming and ranching community on the highly productive northern plains. In addition to grain, wind is farmed here as well, and the nearby Oldman River serves as the lifeblood of the Piikani Reserve.
First morning, what I like to do is to set up in the dark. And because we can't predict the timing of when they're going to bed, when they're going to eat, but we know that they're eating and bedding on the reserve. Okay, fellas, we're gonna have a smudge, purify ourselves, and pray for a good hunt this morning. Fred, if you want to grab your bow, we could smudge that also. This is just sage and sweetgrass, our medicines that we use when we pray together. Smudge ceremony is a Blackfoot way of praying to our Creator. Our Creator here is Nadusi, which means the sun. And without the sun, we would never be able to survive here on Earth. Okay, and when you smudge, you remove your hats. You're gonna smudge your whole body, your heart, your ears, your eyes, all your extremities. Don't forget your feet, because those are what are gonna carry us to that great big buck.
You know what's kind of neat to me is we were really kind of mixing old with the new. And I say that because
Go ahead, Fred.
me and Dickie shared a really old ritual, something that's been passed down for generations.
Just smudge your bow quick.
And we did it in the back of a brand new F-150. The old and the new. Kind of neat to me.
Thank you, gentlemen. That's gonna protect you for sure. Keep you healthy and strong.
Well, we're going to start this hunt off a little different than normal on these spot and stalk mule deer hunts. I've been watching a lot of deer coming off our area and going on to the reserve to bed every day, and I know exactly where they go. I've watched them most of this month.
They're all up on that far ridge still. See above the fog, you can see a bunch of deer. Oh yeah, look at that.
And so rather than spot and stalk to try and get in on these mule deer, we're going to try something different. We're going to go get into position and we're going to wait for them to come to us.
It's beautiful country, but holy smokes, there is zero cover. I'm looking at the terrain going, it's gonna be a pretty tough bow hunt. As we worked into the area, basically they said, all right, Fred, here's a big ravine. You pick yourself a spot, get set up, and hopefully those deer will come right past you.
In these coulees, there might be a little bit of buckbrush, so you have to be totally concealed in good camo.
Corey and Dickie decided to stay up top. They were gonna be quite a ways behind me, but they were gonna be able to watch everything and watch the deer movement. Once I committed into this little ravine, I wasn't gonna be able to see those guys, but I was gonna be in position to make a shot.
We walk into this little bush, we're getting all set up. Corey looks down and 4 or 5 feet in front of him, there's a 30-pound porcupine. the same time, we were dealing with the bush that we were hiding in, which was a thorn bush. So you have to be careful in there, not only of the porcupine, but of the thorns too.
Well, we got into position on the first morning, just like clockwork. The deer were out in the field feeding. We could see them from a distance, just above the fog. And so it was just a waiting game after that.
You know, it's a little bit nerve-wracking. You know that those guys could see deer everywhere, but I have no idea where they're at. I don't know if they're coming to me. I don't know if they're going a mile past me. I don't know if something's coming right at me. I'm committed to this ravine, and if a deer comes by, then it's gonna be close.
Sure enough, we could see them getting over a little bit closer over each hill as they crested the hills. And pretty soon, they were within a couple hundred yards, and we thought they were gonna come right in. It was gonna work out perfect. A real nice buck comes up over the hill, and he disappeared down what looked like he was gonna head down to Fred's position perfectly.
This is the biggest buck that we've seen in the group so far, and it's a beautiful buck. He breaks off from the other bucks, which were fighting and wrestling around, and he walks towards us, and we're hiding in this bush, trying not to scare the porcupine, scare the buck away.
And so we were anticipating something happening. As the deer got to the top of the coulee, the does started feeding down in, and they looked like they were going right towards Fred.
When the Outfitters returns, is Fred in prime position to score big on the first morning of his Alberta hunt? The Outfitters is brought to you by the Ford F-150, the future of tough. Fred has the great fortune of being the first modern bow hunter to hunt the Piikani Nation Reserve. And his lucky streak continues. His guides have played their cards well and put him in an ideal ambush spot in a secluded ravine. But it seems as if the jig might be up as the big buck they're after goes on alert.
He walks within 20 yards of us, looks dead at us, into our faces, and is trying to identify what we are. He stood there for probably 4 or 5 minutes looking at us, and we were dead still, scared to breathe.
Well, I'm down in the ravine, I'm watching these three does. They're really close to me, and I see them looking at something. They're higher than I am, they're on the ridge, and I know they're probably looking at deer, but I can't see them because I'm down in the ravine.
All of a sudden, he turns to the left and bounds away, and that was it. He knew something wasn't right.
All right, he's got a signal to head up. So I guess we're moving out.
So this setup was great. The scouting was good. The deer did what they were supposed to right up until the last minute, and anything can happen. I mean, these are wild deer, and that's it for this morning. But all in all, it worked out great. We saw some good deer, had a good opportunity. I think this is going to work next time. I've always loved hunting. I grew up hunting in this area, and while at college I did some taxidermy. This was down in the States, and just had a lot of guys, a lot of interest wanting to come back up and hunt in Alberta, so gradually built up, and now it's a little family-run business here with my son, and we are a fairly small operation, but we have a lot of fun. We have some great clients and great times. Dickie and I met through the hunting and guiding side of things, and he's helped me do some guiding in some of my areas in the past, and we've just done some hunting together and become good friends over the last few years. He wanted to get into hunting and guiding as well, so we took the opportunity to work together with his tribe, his chief and council, and we got him set up for guiding out here.
It's taken me almost 15 years to get to where I am right now with the outfitting business here on the reserve. And a lot of that I owe to Corey.
The Piikani Reserve totals over 160 square miles. There's a lot of ground to cover on the evening hunt, but finding deer in the open terrain is relatively easy. Strong Chinook winds blow off the mountains and increase as the shadows lengthen, making for tough stalking conditions. And at this time of year, the bucks are still in bachelor groups, adding to the challenge of achieving bow range.
Wide open, though. It'll be pretty tough to stalk them right there. Yeah, 8 of them. Makes it even tougher.
Yeah, 16 eyes looking at you.
But they're not going to go far.
Hold on,
I'm still trying to add 8 times 2. We'll look for a few more before dark.
I think so.
Sounds good.
Well, as we came rolling up through the hills, just as we thought we were going to run into these bucks or locate them, we came over a little rise, and there they all were.
Hold on a second. That's stickers.
That's him, eh?
That's Stickers right there.
Yeah.
It was exciting. We saw a buck I call Stickers. It's been eluding me for the last couple of weeks. Looks like he's joined this other group. He's about 4 miles from where I saw him last.
Oh, he's chasing a coyote now. We got a coyote out leading the pack.
2 coyotes, isn't it? Or 1?
Just the one little guy. They're chasing him out of there.
He's just running like Carl Lewis, man.
They're going straight towards the lake.
They're off on the move. No play tonight, but pretty fun to watch them. They'll be here for another day. Hopefully we get a chance to get in here and stalk on them again.
This afternoon, Fred's in for a real treat. We have a UNESCO heritage site here on the reserve. It's called Head Smashed In Buffalo Jump. It dates back to 14,000 BC. It's an area there that when you're there, you feel a special kind of power that, makes us as humans feel small, within the time lapse of this earth. We have to remember that the buffalo are migratory animals. They had their spring calving area, they had their summer feeding area, they had their fall feeding area, and they had their winter area. Now the people would follow the buffalo in the springtime and slowly herd them towards that buffalo jump. And this used to take months. We're talking 50, 60 miles of trying to herd these animals into a funnel in order to stampede them over the jump. There would be 10,000 to 15,000 natives involved in this hunt. The warrior had wanted to witness the amazement of all the buffalo coming over the cliff. So he had hid at the bottom of the cliff under a ledge thinking he was going to be safe. But could you imagine? You wake up in the morning and say, well, I'm gonna just have a view of the buffalo coming over, not realizing that it was a good hunting day. There was more buffalo than they could imagine. And yeah, getting buried.
That's why they call it Head Smashed In.
So in working with Dickie and helping with this hunt, I've got full confidence in Dickie. We found the bucks. We had a close call the first morning, but I got to get back to some of my own clients, and I'm going to turn this over to Dickie. I think if they make this play again, they should have some real good luck.
Okay, Fred, let's just work our way up the fence line here. This is where we saw those 8 bucks last night. I'm hoping that the wind is good, so we'll just work our way slowly up this way.
We've been doing a lot of glassing, a lot of slipping around, and we decided to go back to the area where we had seen Stickers and all those other bucks. But we hadn't been walking long when we spotted these bucks right on the edge of this ravine.
One's got a busted antler right off from fighting. Oh, they're all beautiful, except for the one with the busted antler.
Dickie instantly was like, let's get down, let's try and make it to the ravine. So instantly we both got down and we were boogieing, trying to get into this ravine before the deer could see us.
They should be right there. Yeah, oh, we'll try and get set up on that bank. They're there. Get down, they're right on the side hill right there. See that little draw right there? They're right there.
So we get down, start sliding into the ravine, and we see some more deer. Fortunately, these deer spooked to our right, not toward the bucks that we had seen. So we're golden. We've got the wind in our favor. We're in the edge of the ravine. Now all we've got to do is slip around and try and get in range of one of these bucks. We're down below the ravine and we start scooting around the side, and all of a sudden there's 2 does within 25, 30 yards of us.
All that work.
That third one's nice. Oh, look at this guy. He's got a busted antler.
We're literally stuck. We've got a group of bucks around the corner, but we've got 2 does between us and them. But we decide to try and cut around them and go back into the ravine. Everything's working great. We slip back in the ravine. As we slip back in the ravine, we bump 2 more deer. All of a sudden, all the deer jump up and take off. Not only did we see the bucks that we had seen, but there was bucks everywhere. Bucks and does are popping up all over the place. And that's the cool thing about open terrain. We wouldn't have been able to see them had we stayed down in the draw. It was really cool, but it also goes to show you, sometimes even though the animals you're after don't see you, if you get busted by something else, well, the hunt can be over just as quick.
A vast hunting area holding abundant game is a good problem to have, and after resting the area for several days, Fred and Dickie make the call to return to the ravine they hunted the first morning. Will this decision pay off? When we return.
Well, me and Dickie decided to go back to where we started out our hunt. Dickie was great. He's like, Fred, tell you what, why don't we do the same thing then? You go pick a spot out in the ravine somewhere. I'll stay back up high and I'll watch everything so I can let you know where they go.
All right, well, we're dropped in this pretty deep little coulee right here. Those deer are coming across from in front of us. You can see the biggest thing we have to contend with is the sun's in our face, but the deer are coming toward us. So we're gonna hang out right here, and we're hoping these deer come dropping right over this ravine.
The only difference from where I had been when I had sat in this ravine before is I had moved up a little bit, closer to where we had seen the does. I thought maybe that's a little more natural travel corridor. I want to be a little closer to that, so that's why I picked the spot I did. When I got in there, I started breaking a few branches, and I also cut a little shooting lane. So hoping that if anything came by, I could use that lane to my advantage. You know, I felt good about the setup because we'd given it a break for a few days, so all our scent would have been removed from the area, and hopefully the deer were just doing their normal thing. So as I'm sitting there, finally I spot some deer off to the right. I see some ears and I start getting excited. The deer are starting to move through. But I look and all I see is does. Two problems. One, I just see does. Two, they're quite a ways away. There's nothing I can do. So I'm sitting in this tiny little pile of brush and it's like deja vu. I'm not seeing anything. So the whole time I'm sitting down there, I'm thinking, I'm sure that Dickie has deer all over him.
There's one real good one there. Big typical 4x4 with some sticker points on him.
He's probably having to beat him off with a stick just like the day before. I'm not seeing anything. He's probably got all the deer around him. I've committed to the ravine, so I've decided I'm not gonna move. I'm gonna sit out the whole morning right there. If nothing else, I'm stubborn.
They're headed down in the coulee where we want them to go.
I'm sitting there a little bummed out, like, man, I've got to figure out a way to get close to these deer in this open country. And all of a sudden, I see antlers coming over the hill.
He's the biggest one out of all of them here. This is what we've been waiting for him to go down on the coulee right in front of us.
I look up and there's literally a mule deer buck and he's coming right at me. As soon as he comes over the hill, he stops and I can see he's looking right down the ravine. Of course, it feels like he's looking right at me. I'm trying to make myself as small as I can. Now I've got to rely on my camo and the little bit of brush I've got between me and him.
Something's gonna happen here in the next couple minutes.
The deer stares for what seems like an eternity. Finally, he starts walking down the hill, and if he stays on this path, it's gonna take him within bow range. I'm getting excited, my heart's pounded, I got an arrow knocked. I'm steady trying to range ranges. I'm like, okay, if he keeps coming this way, he's gonna walk right through the little shooting lane that I had cleared. The deer comes walking right through. I draw my bow, but now the problem is the deer's steady walking. I make a little bleat noise with my mouth, trying to stop him, and it worked perfectly. Got him. That buck takes a shot, the arrow blows completely through him, and he goes down. Could you see him?
I knew it was a good buck, but I didn't know it was as good as it was.
Look at the antlers.
Oh,
Look at the
yeah.
antler tied right there. He didn't go 40, 50 yards.
Oh yeah.
Look at that beautiful deer.
So I didn't realize that he was a 6x5.
Look at that buck.
Oh, look at the size of him, Fred.
That is beautiful.
Darn right, so that's a dandy.
There is no better feeling as a bow hunter than to watch your arrow go exactly where you want it to go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on this one side, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 counting the brow on the other.
Yeah, he's almost fulminated here.
Yep, he is gorgeous.
Good shooting.
Thanks, buddy. Yeah, shot him right in the chest. Couldn't have worked out. Watching him come down the hill was just They're majestic.
Yeah, and they're smart.
Yeah.
They're
Oh,
really
yeah.
a smart critter because, you know, look at how big he is. Yeah, he's gorgeous.
Thanks, Dickie.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it.
You betcha.
You know, and I also want to thank the Piikani tribe for, you know, allowing us to come out here and do this hunt.
Well, I'll tell you, Fred, you're the first bull hunter that's ever hunted here.
No way.
Yeah, you betcha.
So I just got a call from Dickie, buck down, big buck down. I knew Dickie and Fred could get it done. We had a good plan. We knew the deer were going to do the same thing again, come back into this drainage. They told me it worked like clockwork. The deer came on a string this time. It was the same buck that snuck around us on the first day, pulled the rest of the herd away. I knew he was going to mess up sooner or later, and Fred was there waiting. Perfect shot, perfect opportunity. So great deer for Dickie and Fred. Great way to start the outfitting on this reservation with Dickie. I mean, he got it done on his first hunt. Congrats to him and Fred, and look forward to doing more work with him in the future.